One I left with. Please remain seated while we're moving. And that's because on occasion I have to hit the brakes. If you're standing when I hit the brakes, not optimal, especially if you're neighbors that are sitting in front of you. In the event of a medical emergency, push the button on the ceiling. I'll come to your aid. If you're in the front, you don't have those buttons. You can get my attention by tapping on the window here, waving in the mirror, calling out my name. I think this spot right here warrants the first stop in the tour because we have the fastest cat on land. Oh, the fastest cat in the world. Cats don't fly. The cheetah. Full speed, it runs 70 miles an hour.
Cheetah.
To give you some perspective, that's about how fast you can drive your car on the freeway in this county. Legally, of course. And it's specifically adapted to that daytime hunt. See the black lines beneath its eyes down to the mouth? Those are malar stripes. It decreases glare. It's like eyeball. At 99 born here, more than any other zoo. The most social species, live in families up to about 25 members, typically in the wild. Their family's called a crash. Probably because those animals fully grown weigh more than my car and about 5,000 pounds each. Probably not the pinkest of flamingos that you've seen. Feathers are mostly white, which helps them blend into their home because in the wild they typically live in salt marshes. Another example, long legs too, which are like fishing boots, specifically adapted to the habitats they contribute to, as is every wild animal. I do want to thank you folks for spending your Saturday with us here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. An absolute beautiful day to be here. Can't remember a better one. It's called the Nikita Khan Rhino Rescue Center. More than a rhino exhibit. In the back there's a maternity barn, laboratory. We're trying to perfect some biological science. Goal, long-term goal, birth a northern white rhino by use of artificial insemination and genetic technology. One of these ladies is going to be a surrogate mom. Only 2 northern white rhinos remain in the entire world because of poaching. Plight of the rhino, very troubling. Every single one receives a few more hours of sunlight. And since we do all this coastal sage scrub around us, we'll see much more than just our collection today. Like here's a mule deer. They live here. I see more here than in any other part of the county, much up by Palomar Mountain as well. That's a female. That's breeding season for the mule deer. Males, huge antlers currently. System. #1 reason why animals are becoming endangered. I'm about to be surrounded by animals. I'll speak first about the ones on the right. These are the red river hogs. Native to the Congo jungle, central west Africa. Orange fur they have helps them blend into the jungle because they're predator, the leopard, main one, sees in the grayscale, orange and green, same shade of gray. Whereas left hand side we have the sable antelope. You can find them out in the forests of East Africa, and they're adapted to. Brown fur helps you blend into the base of trees. And that deer that we saw earlier, the males have antlers which grow and then shed every year. Have the antlers hard racked during their breeding season because they have to compete for ladies. But with antelope, both male and female typically have horns. Not the case for all species of antelope, but for the most part. Because there's competition year-round for everything. Resources, territory, mates. That's the situation with the sable antelope on the left. Both male and female have those long curved-back horns. While they do battle each other for that, to some extent they have to compete with each other. Right now they're on the lookout for predators. Notice how this one at the feeding trough is eating while her friends are trying to keep her safe. We built lion camp right around the corner. Hear lion roar every morning, always demonstrating that I'll watch your back if you watch my back, survival strategy. So the cheetah Hemsbach, they have the gray fur. Helps them blend into the dirt, and since the desert, Kalahari does not have as many resources, there's more competition, therefore they have much longer, sharper horns. Horn is made of what your nails are made of, what your hair is made of. It's keratin. Past them, ostrich. We have seen a lot of birds along this tour, but none that big. And you won't. Largest birds in the world. Lay the largest eggs, too, which makes sense. Last ostrich egg I saw out here, it was about the size of a cantaloupe. You know, the melon. A lot of big animals now. One of the largest antelope species. Walking south, making their way down the dirt road, and that's a Patterson's eland. They get about 2,000 pounds. But it doesn't have to worry about overheating because of what's on its neck. Do you see it from here? It looks like a hairy Adam's apple type of situation on the neck of the eland. That's a dewlap. It's a cooling adaptation. It works like the radiator on this tram. Every animal specifically adapted. Well, the Cape Buffalo beneath the giraffe feeding trough kind of reminded me of my dogs beneath the dinner table right now. I wouldn't try and discourage them from doing that, though. Cape buffalo is some of the most dangerous animals to humans in Africa. Don't bother one. It will attack you. Not just that one, the whole herd. They certainly have that mob mentality. 2,000-pound animals. Only species that's been known to successfully and consistently counter lion attacks. Never hated around them. You can see motion about a mile away, known as the watchtowers of the wild. Long neck. You'd think they'd have a lot of bone in it, but they have the same amount of neck vertebrae that we do, only 7 total. Much longer in size though, but look pretty much the same. It's pretty amazing. The giraffe don't have horns. What's on their head are known as ossicones. Those nubs are made of bone. It's part of the skull. As giraffe compete too, they do so much differently than antelope though. It's really awkward, but always entertaining to see. What they'll do is use their neck like a big whip, swing their head, headbutt the other giraffe in the side. We call it necking. Happens a lot in the evening time out here. Places in the world you can see them. We've had about 50 born here. We're very proud of that. Relative of the zebra, but 50 born here. That's about a quarter of their wild population, and we hope to someday be able to return them home. It's reintroduction, really always the end goal, but we can't send them back to a dangerous habitat. That's the challenge. Eliminating what initially caused them to become endangered. Every issue is unique. No silver bullet solution to any of them. But we have had much success. Over 60 different endangered species have been successfully reintroduced to the wild. Projects are organized. I like to take my time up here. View for me never gets old. Always nice driving by it. Coastal sage scrub all around us. Great view of the habitat. Looks dead, but it's not. The brown that you see, sagebrush, dormant right now. We get 90% of our rain from November to February. And during that time it comes alive and goes back down dormant. Green bushes that you see up there. Really can tell much about where they come from by what they look like. Really by the preservation of their home is so important too, because if they lose it, if it gets destroyed, they can't just move and adapt to a new one. A much better view of the laurel sumac, that bushy kind of plants that you see up on the hillsides, right up close on the right. Check out these leaves. They look like little tacos, don't they? Folded up like that. Well, in the morning time, when it's cool out, they're more flat. They collect dew, and they get most of their water. and photosynthesize at that time. But as it gets hot out, leaves curl up like a taco, protect them. So even the plants are built to survive in their home, like the prickly pear cactus beneath us. It's really amazing if you go up to the Baja Garden, Native Scapes Garden. It's up kind of by Condor Ridge, Bonsai Treehouse as well. If you look beneath that dark green bushy tree down there, there's some oodad to see. If you have binoculars, also a lot more up on that big mountain habitat across from us, big rocky outcrop. That's kind of what their home looks like. Atlas Mountains, Northwest Africa. Their hooves are like little suction cups, some of the world's best climbers. A lot of great plants to see here as well, right up close. Some candelabra aloe in bloom, orange blossoms sprouting up, accompanied with the fire stick. Kind of looks like a weird Christmas tree type of thing. I don't know. Constance with their neck. A lot of water-wise plants here at the park, but we do have a lot of grass. Grass does require much water, so it helps us keep it green during the summertime for our animals. We have a water treatment plant here at this farm, mule deer that you saw earlier. These rhinos eat a lot. About 10% of their body weight in hay a day. Weigh 10,000 pounds. I'll let you do the math on that one. Oh, this is really cute. Motoring around, not making a sound either. A lot of padding on that foot. It's like they're permanently wearing Dr. Scholl's. Yeah, sad to know that we almost lost them back in the 1920s. Only about 100 of them remained in the world. Splash, splash. A big breeding initiative took place. It took about 90 years to bump up their population from 100 to 20,000.